You found it. The perfect apartment. $1,500 a month. For your city, that is genuinely a steal. It's not huge, but it's yours, your own space. No roommates eating your food at midnight, no landlord showing up unannounced on a Tuesday, no passive-aggressive notes about the dishes. You sign the lease. You shake the landlord's hand. You feel like an adult, like someone who has their life together. And then, quietly, over the next decade, that affordable $1,500 apartment costs you $400,000. Not in rent. Not even close. Rent is the part everyone sees. The $400,000 is the part nobody explains to you. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly where that number comes from, and you will never look at a lease the same way again. My name is Nick. I spend my time running the numbers that most people would rather not see. Not because the truth is cruel, but because the truth is the only thing that actually helps you. If you want to understand what your money is actually doing, not what you hope it's doing, subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button if this ends up changing the way you think about where you live. Because what we're about to walk through together is going to be one of the most important financial conversations you've had in a long time. Let me start with a question. When you find an apartment for $1,500 a month, what is the very first thing you do? Most people run the same calculation. They take their monthly take-home pay, they subtract $1,500. And if the number remaining feels survivable, they fill out the application. That's it. That is the entire analysis. Here's the problem with that calculation. It is not wrong exactly. It is just radically incomplete. That calculation shows you approximately 15% of what that apartment will actually cost you. The other 85% is what we are going to cover today. $1,500 a month in rent times 12 months, that's $18,000 per year. Over a standard 3-year lease, and 3 years is the average time most people stay in a single apartment before moving, that is $54,000. $54,000. Now, $54,000 sounds significant, but that is the conservative version of this story. Because we have not added a single thing yet. Let's start adding. Renter's insurance. Most landlords require it now. $15 to $20 per month. Call it $200 per year. Small number, I know. But over 3 years, that is $600. That never appeared in your mental math. $600 that was simply not part of the picture when you decided you could afford $1,500 a month. Utilities. Electricity, gas, water. Depending on what your lease covers, you're looking at $150 to $250 per month. Let's say $200. That's realistic for a one-bedroom in most American cities. $2,400 per year. $7,200 over 3 years. Internet. $60 to $80 a month. Say $70. $840 per year. $2,520 over 3 years. We are already at $64,320. And we have not yet touched the hidden cost that makes all of this look small. Let's talk about what it actually costs to get into that apartment before you spend a single night there. First month's rent, $1,500. Security deposit, usually 1 to 2 months. Let's say $1,500, optimistic version. Last month's rent, required by most landlords, another $1,500. You have not spent a single night in this apartment yet, and you are already out $4,500. Moving costs, $800. Local move, modest. New items for the space, curtains, shower rod, microwave, things that don't transfer from your last place. $1,000, conservative. Before you sleep in this apartment for the first time, you have spent $6,300. And here is the part that really matters. That security deposit? Most people never see all of it again. According to data from tenant advocacy groups, the average tenant recovers about 60% of their security deposit. Landlords charge for cleaning, for repainting, for normal wear and tear, reclassified as damage. That $1,500 deposit, you will likely see $900 back. $600 loss built into every apartment you ever rent before you even unpack a single box. Now, I want you to understand something before we go further. None of what I just described is a scam. It's not fraud. It's not even unusual. It is simply the real math of renting that nobody walks you through when you're sitting across from a landlord excited about your new place. The system is not designed to show you the full picture. It's designed to get you to sign. My job is to show you the full picture. Now, here is where things get genuinely important. This is the calculation that almost nobody runs, and it is the one that matters most. Nobody talks about rent increases. You sign the lease at $1,500. You tell yourself, I've budgeted for this. I know exactly what I'm paying. I'm in control. And so you settle in. The first year feels exactly like you planned. Comfortable, predictable, exactly like your spreadsheet said it would be. And then, 12 months later, the renewal notice arrives. According to data from Apartment List and Zillow, the average rent increase at lease renewal has been running between 4 and 8% annually in most major American markets. In some cities, 10%. In others, 12%. Some markets have seen even higher. For our calculation, we'll use 5%, which is actually conservative. Year 1, $1,500 per month. Year 2, $1,575 per month. Year 3, $1,654 per month. Year 4, $1,737 per month. Year 5, $1,823 per month. By year 5, in the same apartment, with no upgrades, no renovations, no improvements, you are paying $323 more every single month than when you first signed. That is $3,876 more per year for exactly the same apartment. Over 10 years in that $1,500 apartment with 5% annual increases, your total rent payments do not add up to the $180,000 most people assume. They add up to $226,000. And here is the question I need you to sit with for a moment. What did that $226,000 build for you? Not a single dollar of equity. Not 1% of ownership. Nothing you can sell, nothing you can borrow against, nothing you can leave to anyone. The moment you stop paying, you leave. Everything you paid is gone. This is the section of the conversation that most financial discussions skip entirely. And it is, without question, the most important part. Opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend is a dollar that cannot do something else. People understand this in theory. Almost nobody applies it to their housing decision. You are spending $1,770 per month on total housing costs. Rent, utilities, insurance, internet. That is the real number. Now, what if you found a way to live on $1,200 instead? A slightly cheaper apartment, a roommate, a different neighborhood, a shorter commute that costs less. And you invested the $570 difference every single month into a simple index fund at the historical average return of 8% per year. After 10 years, $104,000. After 20 years, $330,000. After 30 years, $855,000. That is the real cost of your affordable apartment. Not the rent, not the utilities, not the moving costs. The $855,000 in wealth that was never built because every dollar went to housing instead of compounding. And I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Nick, you have to live somewhere. You cannot just not pay rent. You're right. You absolutely have to live somewhere. I am not telling you not to rent. I am telling you that there is a massive difference between a $1,500 apartment and a $1,200 apartment that most people refuse to take seriously. Because $300 a month does not feel like a life-altering decision. $300 a month doesn't feel like much. $855,000 feels like a lot. They are the same number. But there is one more layer to this, and it makes everything we just calculated look modest by comparison. When people rent a nicer apartment, one that sits at the very top of their budget, something almost automatic happens. They start spending more on everything else. You move into the nicer place. It looks good. It feels like progress. And then you look at your old couch. The same couch that was perfectly fine in your last apartment suddenly looks completely wrong against these new walls. So you get a new couch, $800, payment plan from a furniture store. The kitchen is nicer, so you start cooking more. Better cookware, $300. Friends can come over now because the place is actually presentable. Wine glasses, coffee maker, $400. None of these decisions feel unreasonable. Each one makes complete sense in isolation. But collectively, in the first 6 months of your affordable apartment, you have spent $2,000 to $3,000 simply to make the place feel like you. And the neighborhood surrounding that apartment costs more too. The restaurant on the corner charges a little more. The grocery store is a little more upscale. The social events your new neighbors invite you to cost a little more to participate in. Your $1,500 apartment does not cost $1,500. It costs $1,500 plus the entire ecosystem of spending that surrounds it. Now, I know what's been sitting in the back of your mind through this entire video. If renting is this expensive, why not just buy? The answer is, it depends. And anyone who tells you it always makes sense to buy, or that renting is always throwing money away, is selling you something. Buying builds equity. That is real. Every mortgage payment reduces what you owe. Renting builds zero equity. Every dollar, gone the moment it leaves your account. But buying carries costs most people dramatically underestimate. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, budget 1% of home value per year, PMI if you put down less than 20%, closing costs going in and out. Buying wins when you plan to stay 7 to 10 years minimum, can handle the full costs without financial stress, and you are buying in a market that makes rational sense. Renting wins when you actually invest the difference. The most common mistake, the worst outcome, and the one I see most frequently is expensive rent combined with zero investing. That is how you lose on both sides simultaneously. So, what do you actually do with all of this? Here's the framework. 4 rules. Remember all 4. Rule 1. Your total housing costs, rent, utilities, insurance, internet, everything, must not exceed 25% of your take-home pay. Not gross income, take-home, the money that actually reaches your bank account after taxes. If you take home $4,000 a month, your total housing budget is $1,000. Not $1,200, not $1,500, $1,000. That number may feel low. It may feel difficult where you live, but it is the number that leaves you enough margin to actually build wealth instead of just surviving. Rule 2. Every dollar you save on housing is worth 3 times more than it appears because of compound interest. Saving $200 per month on rent is not saving $2,400 per year. It is generating $200 per month that compounds into something genuinely significant. Always calculate the 30-year number, never the monthly number. $200 per month for 30 years at 8% is $295,000. Rule 3. Treat your housing decision like a business decision, not a lifestyle decision. You do not need the apartment that makes you feel like you've arrived. You need the apartment that gives you the most financial runway. Nicer apartments are a reward for wealth already built, not a tool for building it. Rule 4. If you are renting, invest the difference. Not when things settle down, not when you feel financially ready, not eventually, now, automated, every single month. A low-cost index fund, a Roth IRA, anything that compounds over time. Not a savings account earning 0.01%, and absolutely not your checking account, where it will quietly evaporate into takeout and streaming services before the month is over. Look, $1,500 a month is not an unreasonable rent. I am not here to tell you that you've made a terrible decision by choosing a decent apartment. What I am telling you is that I can afford the monthly payment is the beginning of the analysis, not the end. The real cost of your apartment is the rent, plus the utilities, plus the move-in costs, plus the lifestyle creep, plus the opportunity cost of every dollar that went to housing instead of compounding. When you run that full number, not the comfortable version, the real one, it changes the decision. Maybe it doesn't change which apartment you rent, maybe it does, but it absolutely changes how seriously you take the gap between what you could spend and what you actually spend. Because the difference between a $1,200 apartment and a $1,500 apartment is not $300 a month. It is $855,000. And that number is worth knowing before you sign the lease. If this changed how you think about housing, subscribe to this channel. Real numbers, no filters, every single week. And if you want to know the exact order you should be investing your money once your housing is under control, that video is right up there. Go watch it next.